Europe is home to some of the richest and most powerful nations in the world, but what's the real story behind their wealth? From global financial hubs to nations thriving on natural resources and innovation, these countries shape not just Europe's economy, but the world's. But here's the truth, being wealthy isn't always what it seems. High GDP and living standards can hide deeper issues like inequality, rising costs of living, and economic dependence. In today's video, we're uncovering the truth about Europe's wealthiest countries, what makes them so rich, how they maintain their economic dominance, and the challenges they face in keeping that wealth. Stick around to see if your country made the list. And before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our breakdowns of global trends. Let's get started. Number 10, Ireland. It stands out as one of Europe's most remarkable economic success stories, consistently ranking among the world's wealthiest nations in terms of GDP per capita. According to international financial reports, Ireland's GDP per capita exceeds $100,000, placing it at the top not only in Europe but globally. This impressive growth is largely fueled by its low corporate tax rate of 12.5%, which has attracted a wave of multinational corporations in technology, pharmaceuticals, and finance. Companies like Apple, Google, Meta, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson have established European headquarters or major operations in Ireland, contributing to its strong export-driven economy. Foreign direct investment, FDI, is a cornerstone of Ireland's wealth, with the country attracting more than $150 billion annually, making it one of the highest FDI recipients per capita in the world. Dublin, Cork, and Galway have become major hubs for international business, creating high-paying jobs and boosting economic growth. But while Ireland's economic indicators are impressive, the truth behind its wealth reveals a more complicated picture. Much of Ireland's GDP growth is driven by multinational corporations and tax strategies, sometimes inflating the numbers compared to the actual domestic economy. Many Irish citizens face housing shortages, skyrocketing rents, and high costs of living, particularly in Dublin, where the average monthly rent now exceeds $2. Wages, though relatively strong, haven't kept pace with the rising cost of essentials like housing and health. Additionally, Ireland's reliance on foreign companies makes it vulnerable to global tax reforms and changes in international corporate behavior. Despite these challenges, Ireland continues to rank highly in education, quality of life, and innovation, with a young, well-educated workforce that positions the country for long-term growth. Its ability to balance foreign investment with domestic development will determine how sustainable its wealth truly is in the decades to come. Number 9, Sweden. It is consistently ranked among Europe's wealthiest and most stable economies, with a GDP per capita of around $60,000 and a reputation for high living standards. Unlike countries that rely heavily on foreign investment or natural resources, Sweden's wealth is built on a foundation of innovation, exports, and strong social policy. Major Swedish companies like Volvo, Ericsson, IKEA, and Spotify have become global brands, contributing billions to the national economy. Exports account for nearly 45% of Sweden's GDP, with engineering, automotive, pharmaceuticals, and clean technology leading the way. In addition, Sweden invests heavily in research and development, R&D, spending over 3% of its GDP annually, making it one of the most innovation-driven economies in the world. Stockholm, often called the Silicon Valley of Europe, produces more billion-dollar tech startups per capita than almost any other city on the continent. But Sweden's wealth goes beyond corporate success. It is also one of the most equitable and sustainable economies in Europe. Its strong welfare model, funded by relatively high taxes, ensures universal health care, free education, and extensive social safety nets. Sweden consistently ranks high on the Human Development Index, HDI, and is a global leader in sustainability, generating over 60% of its energy from renewables. However, wealth does not mean Sweden is free from challenges. Rising housing costs in cities like Stockholm, an aging population, and recent debates over immigration and integration put pressure on its economy and social system. Still, Sweden's ability to combine economic prosperity with social equality makes it one of the most successful and wealthiest countries in Europe, and a model for balancing growth with well-being. Number 8, Austria. It is one of Europe's wealthiest nations, with a GDP per capita of about $55,000 and a highly developed and diversified economy. Its wealth is built on a combination of strong industries, a thriving tourism sector, and its role as a financial and cultural hub in Central Europe. Key industries include machinery, steel, chemicals, automotive, and banking, while tourism contributes significantly, with Vienna, Salzburg, and the Austrian Alps attracting millions of visitors each year. Tourism alone makes up nearly 15% of Austria's GDP, and Vienna is consistently ranked among the most livable cities in the world. Austria's central location in Europe has also made it a gateway for trade, particularly with Central and Eastern European countries. Moreover, Austria benefits from a highly skilled workforce and one of the lowest unemployment rates in the EU, reinforcing its stable and wealthy economic standing. However, Austria's prosperity comes with its own set of challenges. While the country enjoys high living standards and a strong social welfare system, rising costs of living, particularly in housing and energy, are beginning to affect middle-class families. Additionally, Austria's economy is closely tied to the broader EU market, making it vulnerable to economic slowdowns in Germany and other major trading partners. On the positive side, Austria places a strong emphasis on sustainability, with more than 75% of its electricity generated from renewable sources, primarily hydropower. This commitment to green energy and environmental protection strengthens its long-term resilience. Overall, Austria remains one of Europe's wealthiest and most stable nations, combining economic strength, social balance, and environmental responsibility to maintain its high ranking on the global stage. Number 7, Germany. It stands as Europe's largest economy and one of the wealthiest nations in the world, with a GDP exceeding 4. Its economic strength lies in its highly industrialized and export-driven economy, often referred to as the engine of Europe. Germany is the world's third-largest exporter, with automobiles, machinery, chemicals, and electronics as its main export. Global brands such as Volkswagen, BMW, Siemens, and BASF highlight the strength of Germany's industrial base. Manufacturing accounts for nearly 20% of its GDP, one of the highest proportions among developed nations, and over 30% of its workforce is employed in the industrial sector. Beyond industry, Germany is also a hub for research, engineering, and renewable energy innovation, investing heavily in R&D at around 3% of its GDP annually, which keeps it at the forefront of technological advancement. Despite its immense wealth, Germany faces both internal and external challenges. The country's economy is deeply tied to global trade, making it vulnerable to international supply chain disruptions, geopolitical tensions, and energy crises. Domestically, Germany has been grappling with a housing shortage in major cities like Berlin and Munich, as well as demographic pressures from an aging population, which could strain its labor market and welfare system. However, Germany has also shown resilience by committing to sustainability and renewable energy, with about 50% of its electricity now generated from renewable. It continues to maintain strong infrastructure, high living standards, and a robust social welfare system, which collectively ensure that Germany remains one of Europe's most prosperous and influential nations. Its ability to adapt to global changes while maintaining industrial dominance cements its place as a cornerstone of European wealth. Number 6, Denmark. It is one of the wealthiest nations in Europe, with a GDP per capita of around $70,000, placing it among the top economies not only in Europe, but globally. Its prosperity is built on a highly diversified economy that balances manufacturing, services, agriculture, and green technology. Denmark is a world leader in renewable energy, with nearly 75% of its electricity generated from wind and solar power, making it a global role model for sustainability-driven economic growth. The country is also home to globally recognized companies like Maersk, Shipping, Novo Nordisk, Pharmaceuticals, Vestas, Wind Energy, and Lego Toys, which contribute significantly to export. Denmark's shipping and pharmaceutical sectors are particularly influential, with Maersk alone handling a substantial share of global container shipping. With exports accounting for more than 55% of GDP, Denmark's open market economy is deeply connected to global trade, giving it both resilience and influence on the international stage. Beyond its industrial and trade strength, Denmark's wealth is also closely tied to its social model, which blends economic prosperity with equality and high living standards. Danes enjoy free healthcare, tuition-free education, and strong social welfare benefits, supported by relatively high taxes that maintain the country's world-renowned quality of life. Denmark is consistently ranked at the top of global indexes measuring happiness, human development, and governance transparency. However, like other wealthy nations, Denmark faces challenges, including an aging population and growing urban housing costs in Copenhagen. Still, its ability to combine wealth, innovation, and sustainability makes it not only one of Europe's richest nations, but also one of the most admired globally. Its reputation for balancing business success with social fairness ensures that Denmark will remain a leader in Europe's economic landscape. Number 5, Netherlands. It is one of Europe's most prosperous nations, with a GDP per capita of around $63,000 and a strong, export-driven economy. Its wealth stems largely from its strategic location as a global trade and logistics hub, with the port of Rotterdam being the largest port in Europe and one of the busiest in the world. This makes the Netherlands a gateway for goods entering and leaving the continent. Beyond logistics, the Dutch economy is highly diversified, with key sectors including finance, agriculture, energy, high-tech manufacturing, and pharmaceuticals. Despite its small size, the Netherlands is the second largest agricultural exporter in the world, thanks to its advanced farming techniques and innovations in sustainable food production. The country is also home to major multinational corporations like Shell, Philips, ING, and Heineken, which reinforce its global economic presence. With exports making up more than 80% of GDP, international trade is the backbone of Dutch prosperity. In addition to trade and industry, the Netherlands thrives on its reputation as a financial and innovation center. Amsterdam is a leading hub for banking, fintech, and international business, attracting investors and entrepreneurs worldwide. The Dutch also excel in renewable energy transition, with ambitious targets to phase out fossil fuels and expand offshore wind power. Around 40% of its electricity already comes from renewable sources, and this number is steadily rising. On the social side, the Netherlands ranks among the top globally for quality of life, work-life balance, healthcare, and education. Challenges, such as rising housing costs in cities like Amsterdam and environmental pressures from being a low-lying country vulnerable to climate change, remain critical issues. However, with its strong economy, global trade leadership, and commitment to sustainability, the Netherlands remains one of Europe's wealthiest and most influential countries. Number 4, Switzerland. It is consistently ranked as one of the wealthiest nations in Europe and the world, boasting a GDP per capita of around $90,000, among the highest globally. Its prosperity is rooted in a diverse, highly developed economy that thrives on banking, finance, pharmaceuticals, precision manufacturing, and high-value exports. Swiss banks, long known for stability and confidentiality, have made the country a global financial hub, hosting major institutions like UBS and Credit Suisse. Meanwhile, Switzerland's pharmaceutical and biotech industries are world leaders, with giants like Novartis and Roche driving billions in exports. Precision industries, including the globally renowned Swiss watchmaking sector, add to the country's reputation for quality and innovation. Exports account for nearly 70% of its GDP, with pharmaceuticals alone making up about 40%, making Switzerland deeply integrated into the global economy, despite its relatively small population of just under 9 million. Beyond its economic might, Switzerland is admired for its political stability, infrastructure, and quality of life. It consistently ranks among the top nations in the Human Development Index and Global Competitiveness ranking. The country is also a hub for global diplomacy, hosting organizations like the World Health Organization, WHO, and the United Nations European headquarters in Geneva. Socially, Switzerland benefits from a strong healthcare system, high wages, and an emphasis on education and innovation, with R&D spending at roughly 3% of GDP, placing it among the highest in Europe. However, the country faces challenges, including a very high cost of living in cities like Zurich and Geneva, and increasing housing demand. Still, Switzerland's combination of wealth, innovation, stability, and international influence ensures its place as one of Europe's richest and most powerful economies. Number 3, Norway. It stands as one of Europe's wealthiest nations, with a GDP per capita exceeding $75,000, driven largely by its abundant natural resources and strategic management of wealth. The country is one of the world's leading exporters of oil, natural gas, and fish, making energy and seafood central pillars of its economy. Oil revenues, in particular, have been carefully managed through the government pension fund Global, the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, valued at over $1 billion. This fund not only secures Norway's economic stability, but also supports its welfare state and ensures future generations benefit from current resource wealth. Beyond energy, Norway has thriving industries in shipping, technology, renewable energy, and tourism, with its fjords and natural landscapes attracting millions of visitors annually. Exports account for around 40% of GDP, highlighting Norway's deep ties to international markets, especially in Europe. What sets Norway apart from many resource-rich nations is its commitment to sustainability, equality, and quality of life. Despite being a major oil producer, Norway is investing heavily in renewable energy, particularly hydropower, which already supplies about 90% of its electricity, and expanding offshore wind projects. Norwegians also enjoy some of the highest living standards in the world, with universal healthcare, tuition-free education, and generous welfare benefits. The country consistently ranks among the top on the Human Development Index, Happiness Rankings, and Global Competitiveness Index. However, Norway faces challenges, including its reliance on oil revenues in a world moving toward decarbonization and high living costs in cities like Oslo and Bergen. Still, its ability to combine resource wealth with prudent economic management, innovation, and social fairness makes Norway one of the most prosperous and stable countries in Europe. Number 2, Luxembourg. It is the richest country in Europe by GDP per capita, with figures surpassing $120,000, making it one of the wealthiest nations in the world. Despite its small population of just over 650,000 people, Luxembourg has built an economy centered on banking, finance, and investment services. The country is one of the world's leading financial hubs, hosting more than 130 banks and thousands of investment funds, managing trillions of dollars in assets. Its strategic location between France, Germany, and Belgium, combined with EU membership, makes it a magnet for international corporations and institutions. Luxembourg is also the second largest investment fund center in the world after the US, and financial services alone account for more than 25% of GDP. Beyond finance, the country has a strong logistics sector, high-tech industries, and a growing space economy, with Luxembourg actively investing in satellite communications and asteroid mining research. Luxembourg's wealth is not only reflected in its economy, but also in its quality of life and social infrastructure. The nation enjoys one of the lowest unemployment rates in Europe, hovering around 5%, and its residents benefit from high wages, comprehensive social benefits, and strong public services. Luxembourg is also a highly multicultural country, with nearly half of its population being foreign nationals, attracted by lucrative job opportunities and a high standard of living. Its capital city, Luxembourg City, is home to several major EU institutions, including the European Court of Justice, which adds to its global influence. Challenges include high housing prices due to rapid population growth and limited land, as well as dependence on the financial sector, which makes the country vulnerable to global market fluctuation. However, with its enormous per capita wealth, strong international ties, and innovative economic outlook, Luxembourg remains the undisputed financial powerhouse of Europe. Number 1, Iceland. It may be small in size and population, home to just about 390,000 people, but it ranks among the wealthiest nations in Europe, with a GDP per capita of around. Its economic strength is built on a mix of renewable energy, tourism, fishing, and technology, making it both diverse and sustainable. Iceland harnesses its unique geography to generate almost 100% of its electricity from renewable sources, primarily geothermal and hydropower, making it a global leader in clean energy. This not only fuels domestic needs at very low costs, but also attracts energy-intensive industries like aluminum smelting, which accounts for a significant share of export. Meanwhile, Iceland's fishing industry remains vital, contributing heavily to both GDP and employment, with cod and haddock among the top exports. Tourism has also boomed in recent years, with millions of visitors drawn to the island's volcanic landscapes, glaciers, and natural hot springs, generating billions in revenue. Beyond its economic structure, Iceland is admired for its exceptional quality of life, strong social welfare system, and resilience. The country has universal health care, free higher education, and one of the highest life expectancies in Europe. Iceland consistently ranks near the top of global happiness indexes, human development measures, and gender equality rankings, reflecting its focus on social well-being and inclusivity. Its financial sector collapsed dramatically during the 2008 global crisis, but Iceland recovered remarkably by restructuring its banks, fostering innovation, and leaning on tourism growth. Today, the country faces challenges like rising housing prices in Reykjavik, dependence on seasonal tourism, and vulnerability to global shocks, but it remains a model of how a small nation can leverage natural resources, renewable energy, and social policies to achieve wealth and stability. Iceland's success story demonstrates that prosperity doesn't always come from size, it comes from smart resource management and forward-thinking policies. Conclusion: when we look at Europe's wealthiest country, it's clear that prosperity comes in many forms, whether it's through financial powerhouses like Luxembourg and Switzerland, energy-rich nations like Norway and Iceland, or innovation-driven economies like Germany, Sweden, and the Netherlands. Each of these countries has managed to build stability and wealth through different strategies, some by managing natural resources wisely, others by fostering cutting-edge industries, and many by investing in education, healthcare, and social welfare to ensure long-term sustainability. What truly stands out is that Europe's richest countries aren't just defined by their GDP numbers, but also by their quality of life, forward-thinking policies, and resilience in the face of global challenges. They've shown that wealth isn't only about money, it's also about security, equality, sustainability, and opportunity for future generations. So which of these wealthy European nations impressed you the most? Do you see them as models that other countries can learn from? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more deep dives into the world's most fascinating economy.